Scorpio, feel the air tonight. It hums differently, doesn't it? The wind that used to cut through your bones now carries whispers of release. Something ancient inside you knows. A chapter has closed. A debt unseen has finally been paid. For 15 years, life has been a series of invisible transactions. You gave love to the wrong hands, loyalty to the unready, and silence to those who never earned your peace. Each heartbreak, each loss, each sleepless night, all receipts in a spiritual ledger you didn't know existed. While you thought you were losing everything, the universe was simply balancing what was owed. But before we journey further, listen with the ears of your spirit, not the fear of your mind. This isn't fortune-telling, it's remembrance. What you're about to hear is not a promise carved in stone, but a mirror polished for your soul. Take what glows in your heart, and leave what does not. No one, not even the stars, can override the choices you make after hearing this. You are the alchemist of your own timeline. These words are light, not law. They do not replace your intuition or your actions. They awaken the part of you that already remembers who you are. The universe speaks in symbols. I am merely translating the language your higher self has whispered since birth. So breathe, open your heart, and listen not for prediction, but for confirmation. Because what's coming next may shake what you thought you knew about destiny. You've paid a debt you never understood. And the moment the universe reveals the receipt, you'll realize nothing was random. Stay with me, Scorpio. The revelation begins when you stop running from the past that shaped you. For 15 years, the universe has been teaching through endings, through betrayal and isolation, shaping you into a vessel strong enough to hold divine power without collapsing. You weren't being punished. You were being purified. Every closed door was a cosmic audit. Every rejection a realignment. And yet one truth still waits beneath the ashes. The truth that will change how you see every storm you've survived. Because the moment you understand why it all happened, the chains fall off. The universe is preparing to speak a sentence it hasn't spoken to you in 15 years. You are free. But to hear it clearly, you must first remember where the debt began, and how your soul volunteered to clear it. Scorpio, when the universe chooses you for a higher path, it rarely hands you a crown first. It begins with loss, the stripping away, the kind of silence that rattles the bones until your ego stops screaming and your soul begins to listen. Every betrayal, every rejection, every collapse. These were not punishments. They were repayments in a currency the human world cannot measure. For 15 years, you've been paying off karmic interest accumulated, not just from this lifetime, but from the ones where power was misused, where silence became survival, where love became control. When you agreed to return to Earth in this cycle, your soul carried the contract. I will balance what my ancestors left unfinished. That is why you were born into families that misunderstood your fire, jobs that suffocated your magic, and relationships that mirrored your deepest wounds. You were never cursed. You were chosen to end the pattern. But here's the secret the universe rarely reveals. A karmic debt isn't paid in coins of suffering. It's paid in consciousness. Every time you chose compassion over revenge, patience over reaction, forgiveness over fear, another number on that cosmic ledger turned to zero. You've been balancing your books through acts of grace, even when no one noticed. And yet, what if I told you, Scorpio, that the debt was never about what you did, but about what you believed you deserved? Because this is where most souls get trapped, in the illusion that pain equals punishment. But your suffering was never proof of unworthiness. It was proof of transformation. Like fire refining gold, the universe had to expose every impurity in order to reveal your original shine. Remember those moments when you almost gave up, when you looked at the sky and whispered, "Why me?" The answer has always been, because you can handle what others cannot. The storms that tried to bury you were actually carving the riverbanks through which abundance would one day flow. Scorpio, look at your own reflection. Notice how your eyes no longer seek validation, how your energy no longer trembles when chaos enters the room. That's not fatigue, and that's evolution. The more you released, the lighter your energy became, until the weight of other people's karma could no longer attach to you. Now, something extraordinary is happening. The vibration of your life is recalibrating. People who once drained you suddenly feel distant. Places that once called you now echo with emptiness. That isn't loss, it's divine eviction. The universe is repossessing what no longer belongs in your field. And just when you thought you'd finally understood why it all happened, the real revelation is about to begin. Because this wasn't just about your story, it was about your bloodline's unfinished story through you. When a Scorpio heals, the entire ancestral line exhales. You are the final chapter in a saga written across centuries, a spiritual accountant closing an ancient book. And the moment that book shuts, echoes ripple through time, breaking curses you never even knew existed. Dreams become clearer, synchronicities multiply, and people who once hurt you begin to face their own mirror. This is what divine balance looks like, not revenge, but restoration. Not justice through anger, but justice through alignment. So if you felt a sudden calm recently, that strange peace before dawn, know that it's the silence of completion. The universe doesn't announce endings with thunder. It whispers them through stillness, and that whisper has already reached you. But before you step into the light of freedom, you must face the shadow of the years that forged you. Because the ledger may be cleared, but the lessons it wrote still shape the power you carry now. Scorpio, the story of these 15 years isn't written in calendars. It's etched into your bones. From 2010 to 2025, you've lived through a corridor of transformation so long it sometimes felt endless, as if the hallway had no doors, only echoes. This was the Pluto cycle, when your ancient ruler dragged every hidden truth into the light. It was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to strip you of falsehood until only essence remained. You remember the early years, don't you? The naive trust, the hunger to belong, the belief that love could fix what pain built. Back then, you still thought loyalty could rewrite destiny. But loyalty turned to chains. You stayed when you should have walked. You gave when your hands were empty. You kept quiet when the truth was screaming to be heard. Every time you ignored your intuition, the universe tightened the lesson. Every time you tried to control the outcome dissolved. But what you didn't know then was that every collapse carried a secret instruction for your rebirth, and it was hidden in plain sight. By 2014, the cracks had widened. People began revealing their true faces. Money slipped through your fingers like water. Friendships fractured, and still you rose, thinking survival was strength. But true strength was waiting on the other side of surrender. Then came 2017, the eclipse years, when endings arrived disguised as new beginnings. You were tested in silence. Maybe you moved homes, changed jobs, or watched someone walk away without looking back. That was the universe removing the scaffolding around your spirit, leaving you standing raw and real. You thought you were losing everything. In truth, you were graduating. Pluto in Capricorn was ruthless. It tore down illusions of power, control, ego. It showed you the price of pretending to be fine. And yet, Scorpio, it also revealed your most sacred gift, resilience. While others ran from the fire, you learned to walk through it barefoot, whispering, "This too is transformation." By 2020, the world mirrored your inner landscape. chaos outside, silence within. You realized solitude wasn't loneliness. It was a furnace where your real identity was forged. Every tear you shed that year watered the soil of the future you're standing on now. The version of you that once begged for clarity became the one who could sit in the unknown without fear. And just when you thought the storm had finally passed, destiny opened one last portal, the final exam before liberation. From 2021 to 2023, the universe repeated its hardest lessons, not to punish you, but to check your mastery. Old patterns resurfaced, different faces, same energy. Did you notice? This time you didn't chase closure. You chose peace. That was the moment your karmic interest stopped accruing. And now, here you are, standing at the edge of 2025, the final line of the ledger. The fire no longer burns you. It lights your way. The voices that once criticized you no longer echo in your mind. Their frequencies can't reach your altitude. This is what cosmic freedom feels like. Quiet, light, and strangely simple. Yet many Scorpios won't recognize this as peace at first. They'll mistake it for boredom because drama used to be their heartbeat. You've been wired for intensity for so long that calm feels unnatural. But that's the sign the cycle is complete. When peace no longer needs a reason, you didn't lose your life, Scorpio. You purified it. And if you think this is where the story ends, wait until you hear what the universe is about to reveal next. Because the ledger is about to close, and your freedom is about to be declared official. Scorpio, somewhere beyond time, a page has turned. You may not have heard it, but the universe did. The sound was quiet, a single line drawn through the last entry of your karmic account. The balance is zero. The cosmic ledger is closed. For years you feared you were being punished. But punishment was never the point. You were being purified through experience, not condemned by it. And now the scales have evened perfectly. Every act of compassion you gave when no one deserved it, every boundary you learned to hold without anger, they were tallied one by one until the universe whispered, paid in full. This is why the air feels lighter lately. Why you wake without the old ache in your chest. The invisible weight that used to follow you from room to room. Gone. That's not coincidence. That's completion. You might notice strange things, dreams where you walk out of burning houses unharmed, messages from people who once vanished, sudden waves of peace for no reason at all. These are the signatures of cleared energy. The universe is reorganizing itself around your freedom, but the most beautiful sign of release isn't what returns to you. It's what no longer controls you. You'll see faces from the past and feel nothing. Not bitterness, not longing, just neutrality. That's how you know the spell is broken. You no longer vibrate at the frequency of old pain. This is the season where your soul stands unchained. And yet don't rush to fill the silence. After 15 years of lessons, peace can feel strange, almost suspicious. Let it be. Stillness is not emptiness. It's sacred space where new destiny seeds itself. The universe has written a new contract on your behalf. It says freedom through awareness, wealth through alignment, love through truth. You've been assigned new coordinates, new frequencies, new allies. Opportunities that once bypassed you are circling back because the energetic debt that blocked them has dissolved. Remember, Scorpio, when energy clears, it doesn't erase your history. It redeems it. Everything you endured becomes currency for wisdom. The scars don't disappear, they shimmer differently, like constellations guiding you home. So if you've been feeling the urge to simplify, to throw away objects, delete old messages or distance yourself from noise, follow that impulse. That's your higher self creating space for the next transmission. The universe has signed the document of your freedom. The debt is cleared. You are no longer bound by what hurt you. Say that aloud, Scorpio. Let the vibration roll through your chest. It's not affirmation, it's declaration. But liberation isn't the ending. It's the threshold. Because when the fire releases you, it also reveals what you were always meant to become. Scorpio, do you feel that trembling beneath your ribs? That isn't fear. It's the sound of your wings remembering how to unfold. For years, you've been walking through fire, mistaking survival for life. Now the flames bend around you instead of through you. This is the moment the phoenix rises. Because what's being born tonight isn't a new version of you. It's the true one that never died. In ancient myth, the phoenix burns not to perish, but to prove that ashes are only camouflage for immortality. You, Scorpio, have been living that myth unconsciously, dissolving, rebuilding, dissolving again. Every heartbreak became kindling, every goodbye a spark, until one morning you awoke and realized the pain could no longer find a home inside you. The universe has been waiting for this frequency, the vibration where you no longer fight the lesson, but dance with it. Your energy is rewriting its magnetic field. People who once drained you now fade to the edges. Money, love, opportunity begin orbiting closer, drawn by resonance rather than effort. You don't chase, you attract through stillness. You've stepped into the Phoenix codes, the stage of rebirth where destruction turns to design. Here, nothing you lost was random. Every loss cleared space for something proportionate in light. The relationships that ended were initiations. The dreams that collapsed were prototypes. And the versions of yourself you buried were never corpses, only seeds. When the phoenix emerges, it carries memory from the flame. That's why your intuition has sharpened lately, why your body reacts before logic can catch up. The soul is now driving. The mind is learning to trust again. But freedom, Scorpio, comes with one final choice, and the universe is waiting to see if you'll make it. The choice is this: will you keep proving you're healed, or will you simply live as if you already are? Healing was never meant to be homework. It was the journey home to ease. The universe doesn't need your struggle. It needs your permission. So let go of the armor. You've worn it so long you forgot the softness beneath. Power isn't about resistance. It's about radiant calm. The moment you choose peace over control, the universe rushes in to fill the vacuum with miracles. Look around you. Notice how time feels slower, conversations gentler, colors brighter. That's not imagination. It's recalibration. Reality bends toward the consciousness that created it. And right now yours glows gold. Say this quietly: I release what tried to end me. I rise from what shaped me. I walk in light, unafraid. Feel the resonance in your chest. That's your frequency locking into freedom. The fire no longer burns you. It lights your way. You are not the ashes. You are the flame that survived extinction. You are not defined by who left. You are defined by what remained. Your courage, your compassion, your faith. From this point forward, every act of love you give circulates back faster. Karma no longer binds. It reciprocates. You are now living in the equation of divine symmetry. And the phoenix within you no longer fears the fire, because it understands the secret. The fire was always home. But what if I told you, Scorpio, that liberation isn't just spiritual? It's about to manifest in the physical world in ways you can't yet imagine. That is where we go next, where the universe confirms your freedom with signs, synchronicities, and blessings that rewrite everything you thought impossible. Scorpio, now that the flames have quieted, listen closely. Freedom doesn't always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives like dawn, slow, golden and silent. You may not realize it yet, but your life has already begun whispering the evidence. Because when the universe declares you free, It doesn't shout it from the heavens. It shows you in patterns only your soul can read. Notice how small irritations dissolve before they turn to storms. Notice how people who once drained you suddenly fade from your calendar. How your body sighs instead of tenses when you hear their names. This is what energetic freedom feels like. Neutrality, not avoidance. You wake without that heaviness pressing on your chest. You breathe without bracing for impact. The silence that used to frighten you now feels sacred. You no longer crave explanations. You crave peace. That shift alone is a sign of divine completion. The universe confirms freedom through subtle miracles. A message from someone who once ghosted you, not to reopen the wound, but to return what was taken. A song on the radio that mirrors your private prayer. A sudden flash of gratitude for moments you once cursed. These are not coincidences. They are cosmic signatures stamped on your release papers. Your energy now vibrates in a new octave. Opportunities that once ignored you begin knocking again, but this time you're selective. You say no without guilt, yes without fear. That's sovereignty. It's what happens when your worth stops needing witnesses. You may feel a wave of nostalgia, not longing, but gratitude. Because now you see that everything had purpose. The heartbreaks made you compassionate. The endings made you wise. The losses made you light enough to fly. And yet, the universe has one final message for you, a declaration that will echo long after this video ends. Before that moment arrives, take inventory of this peace. When freedom enters, the old identity resists. It asks, who am I without the struggle? You are the answer. You are who you were before the world told you to prove yourself. Look at your life now. Fewer battles, cleaner energy, quieter nights. Even your dreams have changed. They no longer replay survival. They project creation. This is the new template. Your destiny no longer built on pain, but on preference. The universe confirms your graduation through harmony. It sends alignment instead of lessons. Synchronicity replaces suffering. You will begin to meet people whose energy feels like home, jobs that feel like purpose, and mornings that feel like rebirth. Scorpio, don't rush to name it. Just feel it. This piece is the proof. You've crossed the invisible threshold where karma ends and creation begins. Hold this awareness gently. You are the calm after centuries of storm, the answer to prayers your ancestors never knew how to pray. The next breath you take is not repayment, it's reward. The next sunrise you see isn't just another day. It's evidence that you're already walking in light. Scorpio, this is the moment the universe has been waiting to say aloud. You have cleared the karmic debt of 15 years. The chains that once dragged behind you are gone. Only light remains. You are standing where destiny and divine timing finally meet. The storm that taught you endurance has delivered you to calm. The silence that once frightened you now hums with peace. This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your authority. The universe declares, Scorpio, your debt is cleared. Walk freely, speak kindly, love without fear. Let these words vibrate in your bones. You are not who you were yesterday. Every version of you that once carried guilt or shame is forgiven, integrated, and dissolved into grace. Forgive the years that hurt. Forgive the versions of yourself that didn't know better. Forgive even the people who taught through pain, for they were instruments, not enemies. You owe nothing to the past except gratitude for its lessons. From this point forward, your life will not mirror struggle. It will mirror surrender. Every time you choose peace over proof, love over control, stillness over reaction, you multiply your blessings. This is the mathematics of divine freedom. And perhaps the greatest miracle, Scorpio, is realizing that you were never truly in debt. You were always in training. The universe was not keeping score. It was building strength. It was sculpting a heart vast enough to hold miracles without breaking. So when opportunities unfold, don't hesitate. They are not temptations, they are confirmations. You have already earned them through endurance. Say this softly, like a vow to yourself. I walk in peace. I trust my path. I am free. Let the words sink into every cell, rewriting your code from survival to creation. The cosmos responds to conviction, and yours is radiant. Every step you take from now on will echo as light through the lives you touch. The debt is cleared. The ledger is sealed. The phoenix has landed. If this message found you, it was meant for you. Leave a Scorpio in the comments to anchor this energy. Share it so other Scorpios can remember their freedom too. And as you close your eyes tonight, whisper this truth once more. The universe declares me free.